Welcome to another exciting edition of Power Wheel, a production of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN. I am Chinwenwa Anyao, and I will be taking you through the goings-on in the power sector. The customer eligibility policy of the federal government has started yielding results, with 5 industrial customers presently buying electricity directly from generation companies.
The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, made this known at the 29th stakeholders meeting hosted by Mainstream Energy Solutions Limited recently in Minna, Niger State. The eligible customer policy was declared by the minister on May 15, 2017 to improve electricity supply to consumers who consume up to 2 megawatts and above.
From the reports reaching me, 5 industrial customers are now benefiting from the policy. So you will see that from May last year, the benefit is just beginning to trickle down. And this is the analogy that I made about policies, that it takes time to evolve and to have impact. And those benefiting from the policy are taking their power directly from Ijenko, who incidentally is our host today, Mrs. Mainstream Energy Limited.
Fashola, who further emphasized on the prospects of the policy regulation which was launched by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, on November 1st, 2017, also said,
"We also have a list, I am told from the reports, of 26 industrial customers who are seeking to benefit from the policy. But I'm glad to hear from Mainstream that so far, for the first 2 months of the operation of the policy, the invoices they have issued, they have achieved 100% collection, which is what we want to see in the industry. So it means that in one breath, parts of the policy is working, but we intend to monitor the policy more closely, to hear from the beneficiaries and all of the participants, and to ensure that this constitutes a win-win for everybody.
To ensure smooth running of the eligible customer regulation, Fashola said,
"The discos must be interested to know that I have also issued directives to NEC to work out and implement competition transition charges as provided by law to safeguard them from any losses."
The minister, who spoke on the provision of 701 billion naira payment assurance guaranteed by government since 2017, said it was to give comfort to investors in generation section of the value chain.
Since its implementation in 2017, recovery of payments by GENCOs has increased from 20% to 80%, and the power supply capacity has improved from 4,000 to 7,000 megawatts. And there is an appetite now by other players to participate in the generation side of the business.
Fashola said the GENCOs must transparently invoice for their output made on generation of power and harmonize the price of gas for payment under the scheme, where there are differential prices arising from different gas suppliers. The Managing Director of Mainstream Energy Solutions Limited, MESL, and concessionaire of the Kainji and Jeba GENCOs, Engineer Lamu Audu, said the company has recovered 69% of the 1.338 megawatts capacity of both plants located in Niger State.
Favorable conditions aside, we continue to forge ahead to achieve 100% recovery by implementing a very robust capacity and expansion program. Further, additional capacities are being recovered with the ongoing ratification of the 80 megawatt Unit 1G7 at Kainji, which contract was awarded to GE and will be completed in the 4th quarter of 2019. We are also in the process of awarding the contract for the recovery of an additional capacity of 96.4 megawatts to Marubeni for the rehabilitation of Unit 2G6 at Jeba, which has been out of operation since 2009, which will commence in 2019. Plans are also underway for a reservoir and capacity expansion at the Kainji power plant to increase its installed capacity by 200 megawatts, thereby raising the total installed capacity from 760 megawatts to 960 megawatts.
Mr. Audu lauded the minister on the eligible customer policy, which he said has helped his Gencos to enter into partnership with 5 customers and the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN.
Since the commencement of the eligible customer line, we have so far entered into power purchase agreement with 5 eligible customers and executed a transmission user system agreement with the Transmission Company of Nigeria for these customers, and delivery commenced in May 2018. A total of 19 or 76 megawatts was contracted under the various PPAs, and so far, full payments have been received for May and June invoices.
The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, has described teamwork as a very critical element in achieving effective service delivery in the public service, as he urged members of staff to imbibe the value in discharging their duties at the ministry.
The minister made a disclosure recently in Calabar, Cross River State, during the edition of Top Management Retreat for directors, heads of units, and chief executives of agencies and parastatals of the ministry, with the theme, Goal Setting and Goal Reaching for a Focused Team. He said,
when last we met, we were talking about a team. You recall, that was our focus. And that's what I continue to emphasize, because I believe in the power of the team. It's so critical, especially in the public service. And all those who seek to come to the public service to join the fray must recognize that it is a team that wins. And if the team understands that they are bound together in success and sometimes in adversity, they can overcome almost all their challenges.
Fashola said the ministry's goals and plans in terms of power sector development are contained in the Power Sector Recovery Program, PSRP, document, which he urged members of staff to acquaint themselves with.
But remember 3 things about that document, what it seeks to achieve, which is important. It seeks first to build growth in the Nigerian economy, growth. And that growth we have already seen. From recession, we're out of recession, we have a trajectory of growth. So what we will do now, continue to double that growth. There's nothing majorly wrong with us. America just reached 4% growth. You know, they hit a recession in 2010. So they just reached 4% last week. 8 years after. But we want to do quicker and better than that. And we already have projections are in the region of 2.1, 2.3, 2.8%. They keep being revised. So as certain factors that you and I put in change, the projections and the realities will change. The second thing, I've talked about growth. The second thing about that plan is that it seeks to make Nigeria's economy competitive. And this is seeks to do in many ways. Make business easy, make education more efficient, make healthcare more sustainable, make water supply available, make the road network better. And it seeks to invest in us, the Nigerian people.
The minister said 3 years ago, transmission was seen as the biggest problem in the power sector, coupled with inadequate power generation. He said that the story has changed for the better.
Distribution has reached 5,222, an all-time national high. Transmission has reached 7,000. Generation has reached 7,000. The problems are not finished, but clearly the point I wish to make is that we have made progress.
In his welcome address, the Permanent Secretary Power, Mr. Louis Edozie, represented by the Director, Procurement in the Ministry, Engineer Abdul Ahmad, stated that the topic and the theme of the retreat were carefully selected for members to achieve results in the sector.
As the theme states, the top management retreat will help us set goals and achieve them. It is hoped that this retreat will afford us opportunity to relax, bond as a team, share ideas and experiences in order to achieve goals, objectives, and the overall mandate of the ministry. I thank you all and have a rewarding retreat.
At the end of the retreat, a communique was presented containing action plans for the implementation by the senior management staff of the ministry. Some of the action plans include effective time management for efficient service delivery, upholding public trust, and exhibiting acts of professionalism.
Let's take a short break for a message. Please stay tuned.
Do not build under transmission power lines for your safety and health. Electricity power lines and substations, either for power transmission or power distribution services, are extremely dangerous when exposed to direct human contact. These power lines and substations transmit electricity that lights up our homes and offices, power our computers, TVs, and refrigerators. On the other hand, the same electricity when exposed is extremely dangerous. It can shock, electrocute, and kill anyone on its way. That is why everyone must adopt safety measures whenever we use or are close to electricity facilities like power lines or substation or transformers. For the safety of the people and animals, governments all over the world have approved way leave or right-of-way of 50 meters for 330 kV power lines and 30 meters for 132 kV power lines, and for 33 kV lines the way leave is 15 meters. People are not expected to be found within this way leave or right-of-way for safety reasons. The lines can suddenly cut and fall to the ground with very disastrous consequences such as fire and electrocution of anybody and destruction of anything, be it vehicle, houses or vegetation on its line. It has also been established that power lines and substation emit electromagnetic fields, EMF, which is dangerous to human health. The World Health Organization, WHO, has warned that people who spend long hours under or close high-tension lines stand the risk of being affected by EMF and be vulnerable to cancer, leukemia in children, miscarriages among pregnant women, and other terrible diseases. It is therefore advisable not to build any structure or operate any business under or near any electricity high-tension lines or substations. TCN wants you to stay alive, stay safe, stay healthy, avoid power lines. This message is from the management of Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN.
You're still watching Power Wheel. The Japanese government, through the Japan International Cooperation Agency, has met with the management of the Transmission Company of Nigeria to discuss developments regarding the ongoing loan negotiations for the Lagos-Ogun transmission projects.
The Director African Division 1, African Department JICA, Mrs. Kumiko Uchida, who led the delegation to Abuja, declared at the meeting that it was necessary to appraise approval process on the external debts by the Nigerian government, which was initiated in 2014 for the transmission projects.
The official request for the Japanese ODA loan from your government was made in 2014 already. And the requested amount then was $200 million. And the project target areas are Lagos and Ogun states, and the most industrialization areas in Nigeria. And based on your request, we have started the preparatory survey in 2014, and it's still going on at this moment. And on the other hand, your responsibility is to conduct the EIA and the preparation of RAP, the Resettlement Action Plan, and since the selection of EIA and the RAP consultant was delayed, so our preparatory survey was suspended for a while. But since last year, you finally selected the consultant for EIA and the RAP survey, the preparatory survey team commenced their duty in this year.
Uchida also urged TCN to accelerate land settlement issues to enable the Japanese government consider and consequently give approval to the loan request within the stipulated time frame of May 2019, which she said was critical to the approval process and with JICA borrowing plan.
Thank you very much for your cooperation toward the preparatory survey. For example, last week we sent the questionnaire on the social and environmental the issues, and we received your answer a few days after only, and we could have a very full TV conference last week. So thank you very much for your strong the commitment and leadership, and I think your staff, your team is really doing okay and doing everything very fast. So we appreciate your strong commitment, leadership, and the full cooperation.
The Managing Director CEO of TCN, Mr. Usman Guru Mohammed, in his response, appreciated the government of Japan for its support to the Nigerian people by providing the needed infrastructure in the power transmission section of the value chain.
Electricity is the main ingredient of development. There is no country that can develop without electricity, and actually there is a direct relationship between poverty and energy consumption. Meaning that any place where there's low energy consumption, that place has high poverty. And anywhere there's a high energy consumption, it is expected that place will have low poverty. Therefore, the support and all the support that the government and the people of Japan is giving to Nigeria is highly appreciated.
The TCN MD said Japan has given TCN a grant separately from the loan arrangements, which was used to commission 2 capacitor banks in Apo Transmission Substation in Abuja and Kefi Transmission Substation in Nasarawa State, which has significantly improved the voltage and quality of power in those areas. Mr. Mohammed, who spoke of the impact of the Lagos-Ogun power transmission projects that will be financed by JICA, said,
"This is because between Lagos and Ogun State is the most industrialized part of Nigeria. Most of the big industries that we have in this country are located between those two places. Therefore, what we are doing is actually we are keying into the government policy, which is clearly explained in the government policy of the economic growth and growth of this government to ensure that we grow our industry. So we are also very happy with that project, and we are determined to do everything to ensure that that project kick off."
Mr. Mohammed also assured JICA of TCN's renewed tenacity in the execution of projects through newly introduced policy on its contractor qualification criteria and procurement methods, among others, to enable only qualified companies to handle projects.
Key stakeholders in the power sector and participants at the monthly Next Year Power Dialogue have re-echoed the need of electricity consumers for improved service delivery across the various franchise areas of power distribution networks.
The principal partner of Next Year and anchor, Mr. Patrick Okibo, who took the panelists through the objectives of the dialogue and the needs of electricity consumers, said,
"This August 2018 session of Next Year Power Dialogue seeks to understand customer needs and to agree on the outline of pragmatic solutions to close the gap or the disconnect between customers and the sector. We will discuss challenges with the power sector. We'll question whether customer perspective of power as a social good or as a business impacts service delivery. We will seek to explain customer rights and also customer responsibilities to the sector. We will clarify the channels of redress open to customers and how they can expect their issues to be resolved. And finally, whether there are channels for advocacy.
Chairman of Network of Electricity Consumers Advocacy of Nigeria, NECAN, and Managing Director, Hotel Rosebud, Chief Tomi Akigbogu, while speaking on the power of electricity consumers, explained customers' rights and obligations as published by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC.
Unfortunately for us, the DISCOs and the GENCOs, they are very intelligent, they are very well read, they are more educated about power than us, and we have no voice. Most of the time when you have a community gathering to resolve the issue, most of the complaints of the customers are not actually what is recorded, and we find that the public has not been properly protected. I'm sorry to say. I'm sure people from NEC are here, and they will be able to give us more information.
Making a case for adequate power delivery data, a Business Day media journalist, Isaac Anyogu, said,
to really sort out the power market, to make it work effectively, you must start with data. You must develop a system where everyone who is using power knows he has an obligation, he has a responsibility.
On her part, Ifeoma Malu, the country head for Power for All, spoke on electricity customer education. She said studies showed that many customers want power for productive work.
People want to know how long and when they will get electricity. If they know, they can plan their life. This is where productive use comes in.
The head customer service Kaduna Electric, Mrs. Oluwafunmilayo King, who spoke on strategic communications between customers and the value chain, said the distribution firm is doing its best to improve services, but that there are customers who don't pay for electricity.
You have a right to redress. You have a right to complain. It's your obligation, and I must emphasize this, to communicate with the DISCOs. It's important you speak to them. Should you have a problem, please air it out. Should you be displeasured, please air it out. Have your rights been trampled on, please air it out. Until we do this, we can't hold the DISCOs to a high standard.
Let us find out what information lies in this week's soundbites.
One of the reasons why we are achieving this is that we have the environment, good environment, working environment. We are working under people who don't give us wrong directive, who give us free hand to perform. My minister, my boss. I have never seen somebody who is hardworking like him. There's no paper that will get his office and you don't get it out the following day. The following day is out. And that is the reason why we are getting all these things out. The president, the minister, all of them give us 100%.
Please stay tuned as we bring you Power Flash. That's all we have for you on this week's edition of Power Wheel. Thank you for staying with us. Let's do this again next week. But before then, you can follow us through these platforms showing on your screen. I am Chinwenwa Anyao. Bye for now.